Well, you came back. I'm surprised you came back, but I'm also glad you came back. Today's video will deal with Ural.
There's something about motorcycles that just clicks with me. It's not just the ride, it's the feeling, the freedom, the connection to the road. And then there's a sidecar. A little different, a little unexpected, but that's the point. For me, it's never about just getting somewhere. It's about exploring the back roads of Canada, the hidden places, and eventually the world. Because every road has a story, and I want to see where they all lead. Let's twist that throttle. Gaze at the horizon. My name's Jamie, and you're in the Sidecar.
What can you say about Ural Neo? I mean, I've done a couple of videos on it. I'm just going to preface beforehand, I'm not an expert, I'm not an insider. I don't have any insight on anything. I'm just observing things like you all are. If you're here on this channel, you're probably curious about sidecars. Well, while you're at it, check out some of our other videos. We do rides. Subscribe and like. This is what you're all about, but we're going to talk about Ural. So I've done some videos about Ural Neo and my thoughts on it. I'm not going to get into the whole Ural Neo versus Ural Legacy thing. I'm very aware of Ural Neo being a sub-brand, I guess you could say, an attempt at trying to have a secondary sort of brand that they can leverage. Ural's a strong brand in general, so you know it's good that that they're branching out. I know that in general they've had some issues in the last while, or in the last forever. Jesus is coming, so we gotta repent. It's a sub-brand, and they're trying to treat it as a separate thing. You know, Parliament there. But what I do want to talk about is Ural Legacy. We've seen all the Ural Neo stuff. We see that, you know, they're testing it out in different countries. There's some testing in France and all over Europe. We're seeing Ural New England, which is a big North American Ural dealer. They've got a prototype, so they've been testing that out. So everybody's testing it out. I don't know when it's coming. I think from everything should be sometime late this year. So yeah, talking about Ural Legacy, it's the radio silence, I think, right now that we're really not hearing anything about that brand, which I find a little bit disturbing, though I can probably understand why. Probably internally there's a lot of discussion about whether they're going to continue or not. If you're not aware, they did move the plant from Russia to Kazakhstan when the war started. They did move the factory. I don't know if it helped any, though. My experience with Ural, I've owned a Ural before, a Ural Gear Up 2021. I had a lot of issues with it in general. But Ural Legacy seems to be a kind of dying brand. And I'm not sure if they're going to be bringing it back. I think they're going to probably, and it looks like from, if you're going by social media, which is not probably the way you want to go about things, but if you're looking at that, the Ural social media pages are pretty dead unless they're talking about Neo. And you're not seeing any movement about that. So it leads us to believe that there's a very distinct possibility that Ural Legacy will not come back. Some of the interesting things that I've found is how like Heindl motorcycle sales in Eaton, Ohio, which was a big part of why I got a Ural originally. His videos are fantastic. If you haven't, go subscribe to that. He got into a lot of the capabilities of the Ural, and it really kind of reassured me when I bought my first Ural, the Ural Legacy, of course. But what I've seen his channel kind of pivot towards is they're rigging out existing motorcycles with sidecars. And if you're looking at the showroom, it seems a little empty of Urals. So I think it like kind of liquidating what existing stock they must have. And basically, he's leaning into kitting out existing motorcycles with sidecars. So that's interesting too. So that tells me, and probably a lot of you, that they are not making new Urals. They're not shipping out new Urals. And so that, to me, is pretty sad. But it's understandable too. So I'm trying to put myself in the position of the company, being Ural out of Seattle. I don't know, they did redesign the engine in 2021, I think, or 2022, but I don't know if that was enough to help out the outdated, antiquated sort of engine that it had. I think that getting an engine from an existing motorcycle that's not Chinese is probably not in the cards for them. Number one, oh, the water's really high today. Whew. Number one, I don't think that that a lot of stuff would fit on that Ural, on the Legacy Ural. And number two, I mean, you have to have something that is made for that chassis. But maybe internally they're discussing a lot of where they can go with Ural Legacy. So yeah, I think that the chassis limitation is probably going to be a bigger deterrent for a lot of stuff when it comes to redesigning, reinvigorating the Ural brand. So I think that, and this is my opinion, and like I said, I'm not an insider. I don't know anything about this stuff. But I do love Urals, so I'm always following what they're doing. I think they're leaning into the Ural Neo, and that they're basically going to stick with that for the time being. Now again, though, you never know. You never know. They might bring it back, redesigned, hopefully, something a little bit more reliable engine-wise. Maybe a little bit more modern. Woo! These roads are rough. I mean, I'm still not sure of the decision with Ural Neo not to grab existing motorcycles and make their tweaks and their quality checks and all that fun stuff that make the Ural brand a little bit more reliable. But I really wish they would have picked something a little bit more Ural looking when they decided to go this way. And I know that there are probably a lot of motorcycles that would look a little bit more like a Ural and kind of carry that tradition. But maybe that's in the cards too. You never know. You never know. Now, would I try a Ural Neo? Hell yeah, I would. It looks like fun. I love sidecars. I'm not gonna, stick to something just because it's tradition, yada yada, and all that stuff, right? I think that things need to evolve. And I think it's good to have a sub-brand. You know, you look at guitars, which is a good indicator for me a lot of the times. Let's open up my helmet there. You know, you look at Gibson guitars have sub-brands like Epiphone. You look at Fender has Squire, so entry level. But the key with those is that it has to be entry level pricing, right? Now, when they first announced Ural Neo, I know that they said, you know, that it would be affordable or more affordable. That's yet to be seen. We haven't seen any of the pricing on it yet. But that'll be an important part. If you're going to make a sub-brand and you're kind of talking about affordability and that kind of thing, then you really need to make sure that it's going to be affordable. You got to get people in on those sidecars. And if it's not, then, you know, what's the point? But I do believe that they're going to go that direction. I hope they do. And I really do hope they bring back the Ural Legacy in some form or fashion, whether it's like a similar type Chinese-made motorcycle that they can, you know, make it look a little bit more like a Legacy Ural. I think that would be cool. So I think it'll be important to them not to neglect the original brand, and you should stick with making sure that that brand stays alive and that your traditional Ural owners get a crack at a new and improved model. Tell me, number one, what do you think of the new Ural Neo? Would you ride it? Do you find it interesting? And number two, what do you think of the fact that Ural Legacy seems to be a defunct brand now? Maybe not, but it's going that way from what it looks like. Do you own a Ural? Let me know. Let's fly that card. At the end of the day, the company's doing what they have to do to survive, so we can't fault them for that. Were the decisions that were made a little odd? Yeah, sure they were. Are they going for a new audience, as you say in the industry? Maybe. Maybe that's what they're going for. One of my concerns about the Ural Neo is the same concern I had with the Ural Legacy, especially when the war started, is that maintenance and parts were super scarce. So anything went wrong, you're in trouble. Trying to find parts, trying to find anything to fix your Ural was a little difficult. There are some outlets, mostly in the States, that were helpful with that kind of thing. But I wonder too, you know, with a lot of new Chinese companies, there's going to be a period where you'll get that a sort of early adopter thing where it'll be possibly hard to find parts, hard to find anybody to repair them, that kind of thing, other than the official Ural dealers. Woo! But yeah, let's talk about it. Leave some polite comments. Leave them polite, guys. Come on, you know. But we only know what we know now. What do you think? In the meantime, how about we rip around on my Triumph? Because it's fun. Hey, how you doing? Like I said, if you're new here, Please subscribe, like the channel. I do rides all the time. We're starting a new season. And I'm going to be doing some interesting stuff this year. And do some fun rides and doing some videos, some informative videos about sidecars. I love some of the comments that some of you have said. Some of you are older riders, some of you used to ride and you're thinking about getting back into sidecars, which is really awesome. I love chatting with anybody who's thinking about getting a sidecar. It's a big choice. How you doing, Goose? So we will lock it up. Keep this video a little bit more short. Opinions only. No expertise. Just a guy who's paying attention to what's going on, and I'm sure a lot of you are paying attention to what's going on. Drop a like, subscribe. My name's Jamie, and you've been in the Sidecar.